Hi, welcome, Mindscape artists. I'm Candy. I'm here to just share with you some of the things that I actually use to help me operate at the optimum level within my respiratory system. Those of you who know me know that I have had issues with asthma in the past, and so I have gotten myself on a regular regimen that assists me with making sure that my respiratory system stays in top notch. So the respiratory system is one of the last things to develop when we're born. It takes the baby's lungs all the way into the ninth month to develop fully. Even in creation, after man was formed, in the story of creation, whether you believe it or not, the story says after man was formed that God breathed the breath into the form and it became a living soul. So, breath is synonymous with living. If we're not breathing, we're not living. Also, in Job, it talks about the breath of God being in our nostrils. Okay? So, when we think of the respiratory system, it is a wonderful, wonderful system that is run by the parasympathetic nervous system, right? Well, that includes the cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, and that vagus nerve goes all the way from the brain, all the way through the face and the throat, all the way down into the belly, right? That vagus nerve is very important. And also, you got your cranial nerve, your vagus nerve, and your spinal nerve. All of that is attached to our respiratory system, and our respiratory system is communicating with all of that, and it also communicates with the neurons that are firing through our body, right? Astrologically, Gemini rules the nervous system and the respiratory system, so it lets you know that those things are very much connected because Mercury rules those systems, the respiratory system. Well, when we are in the fight or flight syndrome, whether we're running from something or whether a virus has entered into our body, our respiratory system is one of the first lines of defense, and the blood cells will rush to that area, try to fight off those things. You have your red blood cells that go in and open up, and then you have the white blood cells that go in and have these sacs in them that fill up, that we call it pus. And it creates that in order to fight off infection. Well, if it stays in that inflamed state for a long period of time, then you have your more chronic diseases such as cancer, asthma, rheumatoid arthritis, and a whole host of other inflammatory diseases. And in order to keep that at bay, one of the number one things that you need to do is make sure your mental and emotional state is where it needs to be, because everything starts here. Everything starts here. If you fear something, if you think something, and you send your body into an emergency state, then you're sending signals to your adrenals, you're sending signals to your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system that something needs to be done. Okay? When you send that message, then everything starts moving, right? Well, if you stay in that state, such as if you stay in a abusive or unhappy relationship, if you stay in a state of constantly worrying about where your next dollar is going to be coming from, if you stay in a state unhappy on your job, when you stay in a state of constant unhappiness or feeling like you need to do something outside of yourself, your body is staying in that state, which means that those blood cells are constantly being flooded to those areas, and that pus in that inflammation is being released to help fight off whatever you told it needed to fight off. And then, thus, your chronic diseases are manifested. Okay, so first thing you want to do is you want to relax. You want to get yourself to a point where you're able to, and this is not going to be a relaxation video, we can do that later, but you want to get yourself to a place where you're detached from everything that you think you are. Everything you think is expected of you, everything you think is bothering you. You have to detach from that. Okay, we have what we call hypochondriacs, where they hear something and they say, oh, I think I've got that. Oh, I think that's me. Oh, I think I feel that. And then you send messages to your body that something is in trouble, something is happening, and those inflammation producing things are sent to those areas. Now, this is more powerful than sugar. This is more powerful than cigarettes. This is more powerful than alcohol. The mind is more powerful than anything you could do. So, if you're a Puritan and you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't eat sugar, you don't eat pork, you don't eat a lot of salt, and you work out all the time, if you're worrying, you're giving your body more stress than any of those things ever could. So you have to be a master over the mind in order to have control over the body. If you're not master over your mind, then what happens is your mind is just going all over the place and is sending false signals, and you're being flooded with this false information that you're feeding your lungs, and your respiratory system is trying to decipher. You know, your body doesn't know real from fiction. Okay, the brain doesn't know real from fiction. You can tell your brain anything and it'll believe it. You can tell your brain that you're ugly and you'll see ugly. You can tell your brain you're beautiful, you'll see beauty. You can tell your brain you're sick, you'll be sick. You can tell your brain you're healed, you'll be healed. The brain will send these messages to your body to do whatever you tell it to do. Okay, so the first thing you got to do is raise your vibration. You got to rise above the drama that's going on around you. And you got to get in touch with the I am inside of you. This is highly underrated. Okay, people think that it is hocus pocus. They think that it's not anything to it. I have heard people pray the most beautiful prayers with their mouths, but they have not raised their consciousness to the level above the worry. And as soon as they finish praying, they go right back to worrying. Their body goes right back into emergency mode, and they're still sick, and they wonder why they're not healed. I can tell you firsthand, every asthma attack that I've ever had has preceded negative thoughts and actions by me, always feeling like I had something to prove, something to do, something accomplished, something to finish, not enough time, not enough money. Okay, those things are telling my brain we are in a state of panic. And we have got to flood Candy's respiratory system with as many red and white blood cells as possible, because she's running from something or she's running after something. We've got to help her. She's in trouble. And my body will literally act as though I'm in trouble for as long as I tell it to. So if I'm acting like I'm in trouble for 3, 4, 5 years at a time, and then one day my body can't fight off those white blood cells that were there to get rid of infection, to get rid of trouble, and then I get pneumonia, I commanded that to happen. So when you tell people, you know, you agree to whatever's going on with your body, you agree to it. They say, no, I didn't. I didn't agree to cancer. I didn't agree to asthma. I didn't agree to this. I didn't agree. How could I possibly agree with it? Anything you go along with, you are in agreement with. So if you go along with the fact that you're sick, you're in agreement with it. If you go along with the fact that you don't have enough money and you're in trouble and your next day you're going to be homeless, you're in agreement with that. Right? If you're in agreement with the fact that nobody loves you and you're never going to be loved and you're just a miserable bag or whatever, you're in agreement with that. And when you bring your vibe down to agree with something lower than what God has planned for you, you are actually funneling life and breath into that. And low thought vibrations produce illness every single time. I don't care how sweet you are. I don't care how nice to people you are. I don't care how giving you are. If in yourself you feel like you're not enough and you're not giving yourself the love that you deserve, then what you're doing is you're literally telling your body that you want to die because you're not feeding it life, you're feeding it death. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, that thought is the number one thing. Now we can get into the fact that you need to make sure that you're eating correctly. Well, eating correctly is not always possible. So what we need to do is see what type of supplements we can use. One of the first things that I recommend is to get your gut in order. Number one, because remember when I was talking about the parasympathetic system, the cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, and the spinal nerves? Well, the vagus nerve runs from that cranial all the way through the throat, all the way into the belly, which it has billions of neurons in it. It's your second brain. It's really your first brain, in my opinion. So I have Trust Your Gut. Trust Your Gut pre and probiotic powder that I mix in with water. You can get it on Amazon. Okay. It comes with a little scooper. You take a scoop and you put it in your water. And this right here, the flavor for this is lavender lemon flavor, lemonade flavor, lavender lemonade flavor. It tastes okay. You have a couple of other flavors that you can choose from, but I got that off Amazon. Also, your emergency. Everybody's familiar with emergency. I got this off Amazon as well, but you can also get this at your local grocery store. Okay, it has 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. I take that in the morning. I take this at night. Okay, the pure vitamin C. This has 2,000 milligrams in it. I got this off of Vitacost, which I get most of my things off Vitacost because I like Vitacost. Um, the magnesium citrate, I got that. There are different types of magnesium. This is not the most soluble one, but it's next to it, so it'll do good. I got turned on to magnesium about 4 years ago when I got picked up by the EMS from having an asthma attack, and they intravenously um, introduced magnesium into my system. Magnesium relax and soothes your muscles. So if your respiratory system, bronchial tubes are contracting and they're keeping airflow and exchange, oxygen exchange from getting to your lungs. If you're something happened, dust entered your system, your bronchial tubes. You get emotionally stressed, bronchial tubes will tense up. If that happens, magnesium is often really good at relaxing those muscles. It also helps you sleep and it also relaxes the colon muscle, which makes you go to the bathroom as well. Uh, Vitamin D3, I take that as well. That's a Vitacost brand. Now, these are more like clear vitamin E tablets, like gel tablets. That's what they remind me of. These magnesium citrate tablets, they're pretty big. Okay. I don't have a problem swallowing, so I swallow those with no problem. Some people don't like swallowing pills. I am very much aware of that. J.J. Smith has a wonderful liver focus. Um, brand, but also Liver Rescue is good as well if you can't get anything from J.J. Smith. But high liver function is very good because if you have a lot of inflammation and you begin to do a cleanse to get rid of the inflammation, you want that liver to be functioning highly to be able to get rid of those toxins. Also, I have elderberry and echinacea tea. I got that from the fresh market, but you can order that off of Amazon as well. So I use that. Also, last but not least, water. Keep that on hand because I also use turmeric, ginger, and lemon with my water. That's going to help as well. But remember, and I've always been a laid back person. But even though I'm laid back, I'm very much in my head and I'm always figuring out things, working things out. And when I'm in my head, I'm productive to a degree, but then I hit a brick wall. I have to come out of my head, I have to go into my heart, and I have to be moved on a spiritual level in order to break through that wall. So the head can only take you so far. If you find that you're stuck in life, and you get stuck in your head, that means you're in ego. You're trying to prove something to yourself or someone else. Get out of the ego, get out of the head, get into the heart, get into the spirit and soul of who you are, and stop trying to prove things to people. Ask spirit what you should do and move on inspiration. Pay attention to your gut, which is also why it's so important to have gut health, because think about it, if your gut is constantly being compromised, it's affecting your emotions, it's affecting your thoughts, it's affecting your instincts, your intuition. That's where your gut comes from, and you're very, very vulnerable to mental, physical, and spiritual attacks if your gut is not healthy. Also, I have found that running outside helps me, exerting myself, whether I'm running and then walking, running, walking, jump roping, anything that forces me to expand my lungs. For me, it takes about 10 or 15 minutes for me to break through the barrier of feeling like I can't breathe. But once I push through, I get my second wind and my third wind, and I'm able to go and go and go. But if you feel like you can't go, the body is very wondrous and it will go if you push it. Push yourself unless the doctor has told you not to. But even if the doctor has told you to take it easy, you're never going to push through if you don't push yourself. And pushing yourself on a respiratory level, opening those lungs up and getting them moving and strong is going to be key to being able to fight off things when they come. Okay, you're going to be building your stamina up. You're going to be getting the lungs used to pushing things out. You're going to strengthen your bronchial tubes, and you're going to get it to where if anything comes, you're able to fight it off better. So I hope that this was informative. And in the meantime, reconstruct the world by reconstructing your mind. I know you can do it. Bye.